No, you're right. Right? Football is, these people are nuts, okay? And there's nothing like that. And I think Belichick, to a degree, has sort of set this tone, this unemotional, next man up. This is so physical. We're all expecting. I mean, right? Here's one thing you do know if you're on a football team. It's almost like, and I hate bringing this up, but like you see those scenes from movies like Platoon or Good Morning Vietnam, and it's like the truck is about to take off, and they all know that some of them aren't coming back. Yeah. Right? Now, that's much more serious. That's life or death.
Very dramatic.
Right?
I can't believe you went there.
But an NFL team knows at the beginning of the year, we're not all going to make it through.
Of course.
Like, there are going to be torn ACLs.
But what's the protocol? And this is where you and I can get into this, because if it's like fill in the blank, special teamer, 53rd guy on the roster who is running down on punt coverage, and he has the same injury happen to him, is that different than with QB1? What's the responsibility of the head coach when a player gets hurt? When the cart comes out, does the coach have to come out and tap him on the helmet? Does the coach have to, in the press conference, shed a tear? Is it one tear? Is it 4 tears? What is enough for people? I don't buy into this in any way, shape, or form.
Well, first of all, when it just comes to mere emotion and sadness, we all handle this in really, really different ways.
Totally.
I mean, go to a funeral. There are people who you're like, this was your closest family member or friend, and they're sitting there stone-faced because we process emotion in very, very different ways. Take it to a football field, it's very different. But this was unearthed by our team here, and I wonder if this sort of helps move that portion of the conversation along. Take a listen again. This is what Kyle Shanahan sounded like right after the game when Trey Lance got hurt.
It's always tough, especially when it's a big one like that. You know, it happened to Jimmy a couple of years ago. That was a little more towards the end of the game at Kansas City. But yeah, it's tough. You feel for someone so bad. It's it's a sad moment, but you don't have time to sit there and think about it. You got to get right back to the game. And I thought the guys did a real good job of that. But we were real happy about the win. But it was a little sombering once you get in the locker room and you see him and stuff. So
I mean, and you got to stuff in there at the end, like his voice.
He should be fired, Mark. His voice didn't crack.
His voice.
He didn't get emotional. There was no quiver. There was no tremor. What are we doing, Mark?
It's the exact same that it always is. I mean, it almost sounds like he's passing along a Wednesday practice report.
I thought in that 4th down situation, we could have gone for it, but we decided to punt, and I had faith in my defense and stuff. And I felt like we were in a spot where and stuff that I thought we could still win the game.
Here's a little bit more from Kyle Shanahan on Trey.
I mean, he's doing as good as you can. You know, when I went out and saw him, he was just asking me about a couple of the plays before, asked about some of his reads and stuff. So it's the type of kid he is, and I'm hurting for him. So
all right, there it is. I'm hurting for him, but
and stuff,
very, very matter of fact and stuff, and so to some of you, apparently that didn't feel right, and maybe it fed into this idea of
he tried to get him hurt.
He wanted Jimmy all along. Look at him, he's not upset. Okay, so let's go back to when Jimmy tore his ACL back in 2018.
You have that?
2018. Kyle Shanahan, post-game press conference.
Better not have been upset.
Jimmy's torn his ACL, and by the way, ignore the thing that coaches do when they're like, it's a knee and we don't know. They know. They know. Why do you think Twitter docs have made this huge thing where they can watch TV and go, that guy just torn his ACL?
Yeah.
They know right away on the sideline if an ACL is torn, and so Kyle knows that Jimmy is out for the year.
Guys, just with injuries, I know we're going to get asked. You know, Jimmy, all right, it's a knee. I know we're fearing ACL. We'll find out for sure tomorrow. Sherm, his calf, same thing bothered him in the week. He didn't return. Colbert, hip, same thing. He didn't return. Person had the foot, same thing that was bothering him. He did return. Foster, just abdomen. He returned. Breida, knee, he returned. But
yeah, okay.
4 years ago tomorrow, by the way, Kyle tells me.
Did anyone hear any crying? It's a knee.
He's more upset with Jimmy G. He does not like Trey Lance. That's what I'm getting, Mark.
He was so upset with Jimmy's injury that 6 seconds later he's like, and then Richard Sherman also got hurt.
In person,
Colbert.
Reuben Foster had an abdominal.
So the obvious
tummy ache.
Follow-up question from the media when he rolls through that injury report is, I'm sorry, Kyle, Do we know what's going on with your quarterback? You just made him the highest paid player in the NFL, and you said, quote, it's a knee, and you fear it could be an ACL. Follow-up question, Kyle, on Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, anytime you lose your starting quarterback, I mean, it's, everyone, that is a big deal. And it was when we lost our starting running back, too. So obviously, feel for him personally. I know how disappointed he is. I haven't got a chance to see him yet, but I feel for him.
We also lost our starting running back, by the way.
That's right. This is how a lot of football coaches are wired, because they do know you're going into a situation you're going to lose players to injury. These people sleep on cots. They don't go home. They stare at screens all day, just like your teenager, and they break down film, and when they're done breaking down film, they break down more, and their goal is to get the next play right. And when someone gets hurt, they go, someone got hurt, and that's a bummer. And so now we've got another game in 6 days, and we've got someone else who plays that position.
And I think more of this, and you're right about football coaches in general, they're always going to be on to Cincinnati because it's their job to get ready for the next play, the next game, the next rep, the next whatever it is, because as a football coach, your job never ends. But I think this speaks more to who Kyle Shanahan is as a person. Think about Dan Campbell, the Lions coach, talking about biting kneecaps.
His name just came up on the YouTube chat. Drew Down says Dan Campbell would have cried.
Exactly.
Maybe.
You're darn right he would have. He probably would have flipped the podium, and he would have been mad. He would have been emotional because he's an emotional person.
He's also got 4 career wins.
Andy Reid would not have been so emotional. He hides behind the mustache, and he's the same way. Belichick is the same way. Every coach is different in terms of how they react. I would imagine that if Sean McVay loses Matthew Stafford in similar fashion, he will be more emotional than Kyle Shanahan is. So this to me is not about, any head coach, and this is what head coaches do. This is the way Kyle Shanahan processes things, and I'm not mad at him for that. I don't need him to go up there and cry and talk about, woe is us, and Trey, I spent 3 draft picks to get him, and now he's hurt, and what does this mean for me, and our season's lost, oh my God. I don't need that, and I don't know why some people need that from him.
I actually, actively don't want that.
Exactly.
If that's the alternative, if Kyle Shanahan, do you understand the message that's being sent to a locker room, and how about the message that's being sent to the guy who is now your starting quarterback? Also, by the way, has been your starting quarterback for the last... Exactly. I mean, Kyle slumped over a podium. Can't even lift his head up to talk into the microphone. It's all over.
I don't even want to coach anymore.
What a disaster. I can't believe this happened. It's a mess. It's a mess. Oh, by the way, Jimmy is up next here at the podium. All right, thanks. We'll see you all on Tuesday.
Yeah, if I even show up, because I don't even know if I can come back to work anymore.
And I know we're being overly dramatic.
We are.
And it would not have been a problem if there had been some sort of a undetectable tear where he's just like, look, I feel if he had gone a little longer I feel so bad for Trey Lance. Trey's been through a lot. Trey works his butt off. He's gotten to this point. He's earned his way to this point. And this is really, really a bad thing for him. And for that, my heart really goes out to him. If he had done that, yeah, we're fine. And I guess some of you want that.
I guess.
But to your point, that's not him.
No.
And it would have been totally inauthentic if he had done it.
And I don't need that from my head coach. Now, if he doesn't go out on the field and visit him on the cart, if he doesn't go to the hospital, if he doesn't call the player and check in on him, that's a different issue. Because to me, the protocol in that moment is there's a play that's run and you see someone's down and you're the head coach and you lift up your head from the laminated play sheet and you look and you go, oh, snap, that's Trey Lance, and you wait. You don't run right out there. And I tell parents this all the time when I'm doing CYO. When little Johnny trips and falls and goes down on the court, you don't have to run out on the court. Wait a minute. No one's going to die. Let the player maybe get up. Now, if the player's down and the player's clearly hurt, the referee will wave you out and say, hey, Shanahan, This is a bad one. And then you see the cart come out. Then the head coach goes, oh, snap, I need to go out there. And then he goes out there. Sorry, Trey, it's a bummer. Please don't blame me. Please don't blame me for running QB power. I mean, I don't think it's my fault.
McVay runs on the field when he scores a touchdown.
Exactly.
I mean, he doesn't need an injury.
He would have beat the card out there.
This is great out
here. He would
here.
have been there first. Totally.
Alex in El Cerrito. Mike Silver in 15 minutes, and a lot more to get to on Kyle Shanahan, because I got something else Kyle related that I really need to get off my chest today. Alex in El Cerrito, lead us off today on the phones. Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Hey, Alex, what are you doing?
I'm walking the dog.
Oh, tell us about the dog.
On a Sunday morning. And
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question of you guys.
Sure.
To get things going here. Who do you think knows more about football? Is it me, Couch Potato, who can barely complete a 10-yard pass in Nerf football, or Kyle Shanahan?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry that you can't throw your Nerf football 10 yards, because I totally can. But Alex, yeah, we know the answer to that question. So, yeah, what's your further point?
The obvious answer, right?
Right.
So the point is, there's opinion from the football yahoos like me that Kyle's an idiot. You got your quarterback injured. Then there's the opinion that seems to be coalescing from the actual experts. No, it's a legitimate play. You had to do it. Football injuries happen. So, normally I would defer to the experts. Like, what do I know? But in this case, I think the yahoos like me were right. Like, it's not Monday morning quarterbacking. It was Wednesday afternoon quarterbacking before the game. We knew it was going to happen. It did happen. So unless you think injuring your star player is a good idea, I mean, I'm honestly stuck on this. Like, why would you do something knowingly stupid? Why would you drive drunk, blindfolded the wrong way down I-80?
Well, I would argue, Alex, I would argue that he wasn't doing something that was knowingly stupid, because I will still argue until the cows come home. And Alex, thank you, that it wasn't stupid. And oh, by the way, I have been unable to find anyone.
Yes, I know.
In the NFL.
Know. You've been beating this into the ground.
No. Actually, let me take it to a different spot, because Alex just opened the door perfectly. Okay? And let's use Alex. You called, so I'm going to use your name. Alex in El Cerrito.
The couch potato who could not even throw a 10-yard out with a Nerf ball.
Somehow.
Hit the gym, Alex.
Somehow. And I've got more sound to play you from Richard Sherman's podcast yesterday with regard to Kyle Shanahan and play calling.
Oh.
Okay? Here's what I'm done. I'm done with this. Okay? Kyle Shanahan, who has not only been in the NFL for his entire adult life, he has also rescued this organization from
that's dramatic.
No, it's not. From the depths of hell.
Oh, stop.
He built an organization and a culture that has worked. Yes or no?
At times, yes.
At times. When his quarterback is healthy is pretty much the times.
When he doesn't waste draft picks on Trey Sermon, Solomon Thomas, and C.J. Beathard.
I'm not here to tell you.
Joe Williams.
I'm not here to tell you he's perfect, because no coach is. But here's what I am here to tell you. I am done, and Alex, you're a great caller. I'm borrowing your name because it was on our board.
Keep his name out your mouth.
I am done with Alex in El Cerrito would like to play call for the 49ers. I am so done with why did you throw, why can't you, don't you understand that every single one of you sits there and watches on TV and waits until a play doesn't work and then goes, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that's what we do as fans.
Right.
It's our right as fans to question that.
And that's fine. I'm not asking you to stop. But when it's 2 weeks later, or in some cases, months later, Bonte and Joe are still yelling about Trent Williams pulling in the NFC Championship game.
That was a stupid play call.
No, it wasn't.
It didn't work.
Thank you.
You lost the game.
Right.
You gave the ball to a fullback instead of giving it to somebody who could actually get a yard.
Dibs, you have no idea what your idea is or if it would have worked. Plays.
It absolutely would have worked. That's the point, Mark.
No, I know you're being devil's advocate. The point is not every play is going to work. There's a 7-figure defensive coordinator and 7-figure players on the other side too, trained to stop you.
But the greater point is that you can't always default to, well, you know more than me, so that was the right call.
No, so I don't do that. I default to every NFL player I've ever talked to and
boy.
those. Wait, why are you dismissing that?
Because that only matters as much as that matters. What also matters is what we, the fans, think. and we, the fans, think that it was a stupid play call, and it's stupid to run your quarterback as much as they did,
And that's
why it got
overall
hurt.
concept. This guy has been a very successful, not just
He's been
head coach.
somewhat successful.
He has been to a Super Bowl and an NFC title game in the last 3 years.
Lost them both.
Great. And every single player we talk to is like, this guy's play calling. These are defensive players who are like, it is so hard to stop. It's so hard to defend this. And we sit here and, gosh, every one of us hates a micromanager for a boss. But that's all we're doing to him.
But we're fans, and it's our right to do this as fans. We watch the game, and this is what we do as fans.
I'm not asking you to not feel that in the middle of the game, but the idea that you're now hanging this guy, he is a phenomenal.
No one's hanging him.
Of course we are.
I'm not hanging him.
Of course. You're not hearing that?
The people who are trying to fire Kyle right now,
Unbelievable.
those people might be trying to, quote,
just like-
hang him, but you look at play calls, and any time that Kyle Shanahan goes through a game and there are 65 play calls, are you telling me he goes 65 for 65?
No one does.
And we should sit there and go, oh, Kyle, you've been in football your whole
my
life.
gosh.
We need to co-sign on everything you do.
Do you think you know more about play calling than Kyle Shanahan?
No, but I can recognize
So what
when
are
he
we
calls
doing?
a play that is a bad play call. I can recognize that.
And he
can recognize it too, but he's so arrogant he'll never admit
You
it.
guys think he's arrogant? That's what sounds arrogant. At least he's done the work to be in this position. You think you're sitting here in a hoodie with a microphone and a remote control and you know what to do?
I'm not saying I would go 65 for 65.
You
I
go
know
about
that
2 for 65.
when it's 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 and you bring your tackle in motion and you give the ball to your fullback who's not known for gaining yardage, I can tell you that's not a smart play. You got 9 in the box and you ran right into it. And I can also tell you when you run your quarterback on quarterback power and you run him again and again and again, I can tell you that it's likely that he's going to get hurt. It doesn't mean that I'm ready to be an offensive coordinator.
Wild. It's absolutely wild.